Yes.
Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers a commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of FRN. You make this show possible. That's right. You simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We have a great panel this week. We have first-timer Daniel Shaw, Director of Training at Thunderbird Firearms Academy and former host of the Gunfighter Cast podcast. Hey, Daniel.
I prefer sometimes host. Hey, what's going on?
Well, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself since you're first time on.
Well, name's Daniel. Retired from the Marine Corps about 3 years ago. Started a training company as soon as I retired, and was traveling too much, gone too much. Wife yelled at me and said, "Find somewhere to do what you do and not travel every weekend." So I ended up in Wichita, Kansas, and here I am.
Very cool. And Nate Murr, Kinetic Development Group, writer for Recoil, inventor of Grip Stop. Hey, Nate.
Hey, it's good to be back on.
And Josh Cast, Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me. Give me a second to unclick the button instead of just telling me I'm muted.
Thanks, dear. Billy Johnson, Boxer Tactical, and Amidst the Noise. Hey, Billy.
Hey, Jake. How you doing, man?
Doing great. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. The Bullet Bill patch is back in stock. You can check that out. patriotpatch.co. Also sign up for a chance to win a patch a month if you sign up for the email list over there, patriotpatch.co. New Patreon perks, pledge at $10 level or higher, and you can hang out with the hosts after the show. Patreon.com/week. And a quick announcement. We have a Firearms Radio Network get-together at the NRA show in Louisville. That's going to be Saturday night at 7 p.m. So hope to see you there. It's going to be at the Cardinal Hall of Fame Cafe, just northwest of the fairgrounds where the NRA show is held. Saturday night, 7 p.m. at NRA show in Louisville. Top stories this week. Start out with some positive news. Had breaking news this week that the Mississippi governor signs constitutional carry into law. Golf clap.
Yay!
So the governor, as he signed it into law, had a Glock on his hip. So, go ahead.
I think in this article, I think a great quote from, what's her name here? Oh, Shirley Hopkins Davis. She has to go by all three names, which is typically reserved for serial killers, which is odd.
And Prince in the new power generation.
Yeah, she is the Mississippi Moms Demand Action chapter, head chapter, head of that chapter in Mississippi. I'm sure it's very big. She said, and I quote, "Mississippi law enforcement, families, and faith leaders all spoke out against this reckless bill that will allow dangerous people to carry hidden, loaded handguns in public without a permit. Yet the governor still signed this legislation into law." So there you go, all you criminals in Mississippi. Now that there's constitutional carry, you can now carry your hidden, loaded gun. I mean, this lady's delusional.
Like right before the show started, I was running a little bit late getting home because I went to this meeting that my local state senator, I never even heard of this guy, Ryan Almond, Senator Almond, right? So you're a real young guy, he looks younger than me. State senator for the 36th district in PA, and it was actually really cool that the senator put this thing together, and I guess he does this pretty often for different communities across Pennsylvania, right? But this was one of the topics that came up was constitutional carry. And if you look at all the states that allow concealed carry in their collective states, the amount of states that have constitutional carry is actually a pretty small number. And one of the attendees asked the question to the senator, do you think that we could ever get that passed in our state? Do you think that that's something that Pennsylvania could have? And the guy was pretty honest. He's like, to be honest with you, I think it's very unlikely based off of who our governor is and because of the city of Philadelphia, and that those votes and those people that would vote against it, um, that we can keep trying and keep chipping away. And he's one of those guys that's very supportive of the Second Amendment, but it's unlikely. But it doesn't mean that's impossible. It's like improbable versus impossible. So Mississippi, I mean, being a relatively conservative state, I mean, it's kind of cool to see them accomplish this. And you look at all, I mean, we've talked about it throughout this past year, how many victories uh, supporters of the Second Amendment have had across the country. This is another victory. It just happens to be in Mississippi. So to me, it's helping keep the hope alive that supporting the Second Amendment or supporting the Constitution as a whole might be spreading across our country.
I think this brings it to 10 states now too, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. And other news this week is apparently they're redoing the $20 bill, and pro-gun Republican Harriet Tubman is going to grace the $20 bill.
I was actually very surprised by that. Not so much the replacing of the president, because I mean that's shocking in and of itself, but the fact of all the history I didn't know that I just learned in the past like 24 hours on Harriet Tubman, and that was actually really inspiring to me. Like I was like, oh wow, that's
I heard about it on
Jackson
NPR yesterday, and I thought at first it was a negative thing. I was like, oh man, seriously?
right.
So like how NPR presented it, that's where I heard the breaking news. But then like Whitey said, in the last 24 hours I learned more about it, and now I'm like all about it. I'm super supportive of it, just because of who Harriet Tubman truly was.
That's awesome.
Main topics, main stories this week. Gun and ammo imports for February 2016 are up big time, big jump compared to last year. Handgun imports increased by 66%, jumping from 140,000 to 232,000, and other firearms categories also had a marginal change, a decrease in rifles, increase in shotguns, and increase in muzzle loaders.
And muzzle loaders, that's interesting.
Why is that interesting?
What I don't understand here is it doesn't say why the increase. And none of us wrote the article.
So
No, I mean,
it shows a crate of Eastern Bloc pistols and magazines here. So are these mostly Russian and Eastern Bloc imports coming in?
I mean that's a box full of
No,
tote rolls there.
So
Not the most
Guns.com
commonly encountered handgun.
Guns.com doesn't actually use like actually. It says it right in the description. Search for guns in cargo container, and this is what you get. So come on, guys, let's put our glasses on today. So to answer Billy's question, I would guess demand. You know, why would you spend that much money on importation, all the legislation involved, and yada yada, and the forms and whatnot, if there wasn't a demand for it? If you didn't think you could make money on it, I mean, Coke dealers been doing it for decades. So
Yeah, and within the last couple of years, there's been more repressive gun laws or import laws passed in regards to firearms. So it's not as easy to import firearms as it used to be, say, even 10 years ago. So I mean, it's more of a hassle, especially dealing with the State Department and everything, to bring those Connex boxes full of firearms over from Romania or Bulgaria or wherever, you know. So I mean, supply and demand, that's the rule of economics, right? So obviously, we look at the numbers of NICS checks and record high sales back during Black Friday and Christmas and everything else. We have the election coming up. We have the campaign starting to get pretty heated with, you know, Bernie Sanders and that crazy old lady that was married to that president that got a blowjob. I mean, like, you have all this stuff going on. So maybe it's one of those things where people are uncertain on how it's going to work out with who takes the office, and people are starting to buy their guns now.
I think you're onto something there with the whole election cycle.
Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, it's we win every single time something comes up. You know, no matter what's going on, we're constantly winning. We got a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of good stuff happening all the time, despite the naysayers that always say we're in trouble. You know, we just got to keep fighting.
So it says ammo exports are up 57% as well.
Ammo
I mean,
exports?
or imports, I'm sorry.
I was like, what? There's
Isn't
been
that
a
illegal?
couple new manufacturers that come online too.
So it's
Can we
very,
get some 5.45 ammo imported? Anybody else shoot that stuff?
Yes, my buddy just called me. He found unopened Russian tin at a local gun shop, and he's like, "Should I buy it?" I'm like, "If you don't buy it, and I'll pay you for it."
Right. It's ridiculous, man.
I remember the good old days when you could shoot an entire case for $80. That's why I bought that AK-74. That
is
went away. Thanks, Obama.
That was the rough trick they played on us. I did the same thing.
new Tennessee law blocks international treaties that would limit gun rights.
So
Oh,
this is about the UN stuff, right?
yeah, we're still on that, I guess.
Well, and we've seen other state legislatures make this move too. But yeah, this is to well, not just treaty stuff, but I think it's also to prevent some international rulings as well. And it comes down to the state rights issue, and pro-freedom states are trying to do everything they can to keep the big government out of their
I don't know how
backyard.
it all works and everything else and all the treaty being ratified and everything else, but ITAR is a big deal. I live with ITAR every single day of my life. For there are some attorneys that recommend not letting someone from another country or not being a U.S. citizen to come in and rent a gun on your range and shoot on your range. I'm the director of training and range operations at a large indoor range. We rent a lot of guns, and a lot of people come shoot all the time. The other treaty, or the UN gun ban treaty, or whatever they're calling it these days, that John Kerry was pushing last week, while everybody was worried about what bathroom you can use. Um, it's going to have an effect. It's got an effect on trainers right now. The ITAR does, and I'm pretty sure the other treaty is going to. It's some pretty scary stuff, man. There's a lot of things that were held back right now that are already from treaties that haven't been ratified by states.
Yeah,
So how do you feel about the ITAR aspect of like training foreigners from other countries that want to come?
I used to work full time in the Marine Corps. I lived in Japan for 3 years, and Filipinos, Japanese, Thailand, whatever unit was showing up that day, that happened all the time. Heck, Iraqi National Guard, Iraqi police, but now I've got a guy who comes in to buy an aircraft in Wichita, the aviation capital of the world, and I am worried if my safety video that he has to watch is violating ITAR. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying with training like foreign countries in the Marine Corps because I did the same thing, right? But like even you know how hard it is to teach an Iraqi how to use his iron sights, right?
You can't get them to show up with the right boots on.
Right. So it's one of those things that like to teach, certain groups of people certain skills. But for example, like Green Berets, if they go out on a J set to teach a foreign country that's pretty locked on certain skills, there's skills that they won't teach them because they don't want them to know our full bag of tricks, right? What I'm saying is that if you have like a more tactical class, like or more focus on tactics than weapons manipulation, for example, do you want to teach people that are going to potentially take those skills back to their country? Like, is there any kind of like moral quandary with it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the country. Whenever I was in Chesapeake, Virginia, we always had in every CQB class, we had 2 British Royal Marines in every class. We expect them to take it back. We want them to. That's an ally.
Yeah, it's a strong ally.
Exactly. So in that case, I have no trouble. Now, if I want to go to some place in Africa, or either train some guys that might be good guys or bad guys in southern Philippines, or it depends. Or I am not going to teach I'm not even going to teach manipulation to certain people. It's just not going to happen. But I believe that my moral obligation to my country and the safety of my country is always going to be higher than any regulation, and I'm going to make sure that's so. So
That's
yeah,
really
we
good.
totally have an obligation to that.
That's really good to hear. Because unfortunately, there are some people out there that don't have any qualms about whoever is writing the check.
Dude, I want to make sure it's a good. I teach some stuff. God, it's always a fear, man. It should be a fear if you're a trainer. The things that I teach people in a 2-day carbine class, I've got to make sure they're good guys. Like I can't have. God, if Adam Lanza would have taken a carbine class, or something like that, like we've got to, as a trainer, as part of our obligation, man. And we can't succeed all the time, but we have to do our due diligence, and not because there's a lawyer attached to every bullet, but because there's a life attached to every bullet. Man, we gotta protect. I do this because I want to help people live a safer life. I don't want to ever endanger anybody.
That's good. That's really good.
Multiple tough new changes to California gun laws advance. So these are working their way through the legislature in California. I feel for all you listeners currently living in California, I'm so sorry. SB 880 aims to reverse the definition of assault weapon to mean any semi-automatic centerfire rifle or semi-automatic pistol that does not have a fixed magazine but has, specified attributes, and so on and so on. SB 894 would make it a crime not to report theft or loss of a firearm within 5 days. SB 1006 would establish a firearm violence research center at the University of California to study gun violence as a health care issue. SB 1235 started off as a bill relating to public employees' retirement, but was rewritten by D. Leon as a mandate to adjust the state's definition of what constitutes ammunition as a result of some lawsuits, so on and so on. SB 1407 is a reboot of D. Leon's infamous ghost gun legislature, which, can't have any ghost guns out there.
Oh,
SB
this is the ghost gun guy.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
This nut job.
Yeah, okay,
30
we'll
clips,
get to
30
hang on,
clips
we'll
round
get
per
to the
second.
document. Hang on.
Pump the brakes there, Ricky Bobby.
SB 1446 would revise the state's definition of high-capacity magazine to forbid those capable of holding more than 10 rounds of ammo, including grandfathered magazines would be forbidden. And SB 1037 expands prohibitions against persons bringing firearms in from other states. Okay.
I want to go fast.
Can you?
I can. You call me Ricky Bobby, okay? But no, like this guy, this dude. I want Billy to talk about this guy first because Billy definitely knows more about this.
This guy, I just think he's. What's funny is when we talk about California, everyone's like, "Oh, it's California. It's like where you go to make your dreams come true. It's America, right? It's everything that's right about America." Wrong. It's everything that's wrong about America. Coming from someone that spent 10 years, 12 years of his life living there, this is just another authoritarian that wants to tell people how they need to live their life, who is masquerading as a Democrat, a liberal Democrat in that state. This guy should be ashamed to even call himself an American. Everybody knows the video he made two and a half years ago that there's millions of memes about it by now. You'll find all sorts of videos on YouTube about him calling it a ghost gun, 30-round clip per second. I'm sure we could all quote his great one-liners from it. But, it's just, this is what California has been headed in this path for a long time. I believe their gun rights are going to get worse. We do have some great organizations like Cal Guns and Firearms Policy Coalition doing some great work in California, but unfortunately the tide,
So
I don't think they can overcome it. I really don't.
So it sounds like all these changes are actually starting to take traction. I mean, from what I read in the article, it seems like the bullet button might be going away, that they might actually be successful with this. You think about, they're successful with it in the past by getting the bullet button, basically a ban the banning of modern sporting rifles and demonizing them as assault rifles, now they're pursuing it further.
Well, and I think you're seeing, so the magazine limits that they're talking about now restricting what's been grandfathered since, what was it, 1999 or 2000 or 2001
Or
maybe.
2004, it's the
How are you
assault
going to
weapons
even
ban in
enforce
2004.
that?
No, so what they did, now that already passed in Los Angeles County. So
Yeah,
if you
we talked
had,
about that.
right, so if you had a 15 round mag or 17 round mag that was grandfathered, you had to turn them in, right, supposedly. Now they're going to expand that to the whole state. I think they'll actually get that through. I think that'll be an easy sell, and it'll be turn in your magazines.
But meanwhile, the LAPD rolls around LAX on their freaking like gold wings with a full auto, full magazine, AR-15 on the back, or M4 on the back of their freaking bike.
Well,
With
they
their
can be
logo
trusted
mounted.
with that, Whitey.
Don't
They can
worry,
be
they probably
trusted
have
with
no idea
it.
how to use it.
Us peasants cannot be trusted with such things, right?
You know, meanwhile, in California, was it Kingsburg School District is allowing, or they voted to allow 5 teachers to carry guns. That happened in California. You saw that last week?
Yeah, we touched on that last week a little bit.
It's the problem in so many states, right? You have a handful of counties that have most of the population, like in California, Los Angeles County, the Bay Area. They hold a tremendous amount of the population of California. Those members of the Senate, the House in California vote, pass these bills, and then you have 80% of the state that is rural, conservative, that don't want these laws, but yet they don't have any say over it. I mean, it happens in Michigan, where I live now, right? We have
Happens in
Detroit.
Denver, Arizona, yep.
And then you look at it like this too, like you have like the good people, the supporters of the Second Amendment, they get tired of it and they leave. They move the more rural areas of Arizona, or they move up to Oregon, or they move down to Arizona, and it's such a culture shock that they often try to bring the same nonsense they left their state for with them to their new state.
I totally agree. And and now you have people moving out of California, right? Like Oregon's pretty much lost. Thanks, people from California moving to Oregon. You got so many California people moving to Arizona, and you're like, no, please stay in California.
So what's it going to take for all these companies to get out? I mean, we've seen it already on the East Coast and other parts of the country where it's like so much legislature comes down. California has so many manufacturers of so many different, not just firearms, but actual like components and accessories. What is stopping
Yeah,
that?
but a machine shop can make an AR-15 trigger all day long in LA. Nobody cares, right? So the thing is, if you're shopping around as a manufacturer for your firearm and you're going to sub that out to other companies, if the California company gives you the best number, that's the company you go with. I understand, like, we all believe there's a certain amount of moral high ground with this, but then there's also the bottom line. And unfortunately for a corporation, more so than an individual, the bottom line dictates what you do. You know, as far as, like, what gun companies are left in California? Like, who is in California making 100%
Off the top of my
California
head, I
guns?
have no idea.
Right? I don't think there's any, or if there are, there's a handful, and they probably make something like flintlocks or something obsolete. But
Yeah, but
like-
there's tons of gun-related companies in California.
see, like, my thing is, like, if they want to make it where you have to have a permanently affixed magazine, right? And the bullet button goes the way of the dinosaur, and all these other things. My brain's already thinking on ways to defeat this law through technology. I'm like, all right, well, how do I still sell an AR-15 style rifle to the state that is legal to sell, and that people that want to buy it can still buy it? Like there might be a market for it. I don't know, but
Well, then
like,
they continue to create these lists, right? Handguns, they have to be on the approved list, and they're not adding any new guns to that approved list. So then they start to create other avenues to limit the importation of those firearms into California. I mean, this state is so insane. And when you think about how bankrupt they are, now they have $15 an hour minimum wage. If anything, Whitey, what you said, what's going to get the manufacturers to get out of California? It's $15 an hour minimum wage.
right,
Right?
hits them in the wallet, yeah.
Right. I mean, and hopefully they're all going to move. You know, Battle Comp moved to Arizona. Hopefully you're going to see more of these, Agency Arms and some of these other companies that are modifying firearms in California. Maybe they'll pick up and leave too. California's not going to care.
That
Like,
sucks. The thing is, like, every time a new law is passed, it doesn't change anything. Like, we've talked about on the show many times, especially when Adam Kraut's on, about, the legality of these things, of these new laws. And all a law is it's a set of rules that we have to buy into as a society, that we all have to agree. We have to agree that, like, okay, well, it's more penalties for committing the crime and something that keeps you from committing the crime in the first place than anything that actually does actionable good. Like, if you kill somebody with a legal gun, well, you can send that person to prison for the rest of their life, but it doesn't bring back the person that's dead. And odds are the law that you made it more restrictive for law-abiding citizens to have firearms, where that person that's dead now potentially could have been able to protect themselves, but because they're a law-abiding citizen, they followed your draconian law that prevented them from having a means of self-defense. It's like a self-defeating system. Like,
Consider
the
the
more
children.
laws that they pass,
Consider
it's,
the children.
it's all for the children. It's always for the children. What I'm saying is, like, it it's sold to everybody as common sense. All these laws are sold as good, actionable things that are going to affect, everybody for the better. In reality, all it does is make the criminals. It makes their job easier. It makes it harder to be a law-abiding citizen and to be someone that's capable of actually protecting themselves.
All right, let's move on to 3 New York cops implicated for alleged gun permit for profit scheme in New York City.
Another example.
So we've all seen how hard it is for John Stossel has a great video up on how hard it is to get a gun permit in New York City. He was even rejected, even though he's got death threats all the time and stuff like that. And apparently, if for a short time period, if you knew the right New York City cops, you could pay a little cash and get a gun license.
I'm just saying, like, how do people not realize the correlation between the most likely place, like the places you could send me to spend a week, are all the places I would want a gun the most? If you sent me to the Bronx for a week, or if you sent me to LA for a week, or Chicago for a week, all the same places that I definitely want to have a gun are the places that it's the most hard to have a gun. It's like the most impossible places to get a concealed carry permit, and it's also some of the most violent places you can be. But hey, Nate Murray, you're gonna be in Baltimore for the next week, and you're gonna be working in bad neighborhoods. Yeah, sorry, your carry permit doesn't apply here, and you can't get one unless you want to bribe a cop, apparently, right? Like in New York.
Well, I think I can't believe New York. It's just not a carry permit. We're talking like the pistol fee. Someone could quote me if I'm wrong. I think it's somewhere like around $400 just to get a permit to buy a pistol, and you have to be doing an interview process. It takes you 8 months to a year to accomplish that. How that has not been challenged yet is interesting to me, because to me it sounds a lot like a poll tax. $400 barrier seems a bit excessive. To
How
me,
much
to be able to exercise your constitutionally protected right.
and how much does it cost to get a driver's license in the state? In comparison.
Something
Like
that's not protected right. Yeah, it's like $12 in Michigan.
So I don't want to rag on cops the whole time here, but one more and then have another story on the other side of things. So 5 ex-cops get plea deal in Hurricane Katrina shootings. This is where a bunch of unarmed people were shot, and the police tried to cover it up down there. And then there's a whole set of drama through the trials. There was like one set of trials that were all thrown out because the prosecutor was like writing anonymous messages in the local paper during the trial, and just really messed up deal. But 5 of them get a plea deal. They get greatly reduced sentences, like some 12 years down from 65 years, 10 years down from 40 years. And then there's some other cases that are still pending.
So the thing is, these 3 white cops and 2 black cops that killed these unarmed civilians during the whole madness that was Katrina. Like, from what I understand, like this has been going on for a while. I think about it, like 1 week. It was within like the week of Katrina. So we're going back to 2005 when this all went down, right? They opened fire on a group of unarmed civilians at the Danziger Bridge, right? So you think about what killed people during Hurricane Katrina. Was it the hurricane itself? Was it the floods afterwards? Or was it the complete and utter chaos that rained down on New Orleans in particular immediately after the storm? So, like, it's one of those things where if you had 5 cops holding the line on this bridge and 300 angry people, unarmed, right, no firearms, started approaching you, and you told them you can't come over, it's not safe, for whatever reason, and they didn't comply, like the whole story seems very bizarre. And at that point, like, there's very little recording, right? There's no video of this. Um, there's no real evidence to say that those guys weren't justified. So, like, I look at it from the point of view, like, well, you take 5 cops and you put them on a bridge and say you cannot let any civilians pass, and an angry mob starts approaching you and they don't comply. What happens? Right? Well, people die. That's what happens. Either the cops die by the angry mob, or some people in that mob get shot, and some people in that crowd got shot for whatever their actions were that day.
Well, the other companion article, kind of, is a question of the day that was posted on the Truth About Guns, and it says, do you support your local police? And it brings up the example of the TV show Longmire, where that covers law enforcement just way out, in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, and how rural law enforcement is so different from big city law enforcement like, the NYPD.
To me, it's like the fact that this even went to trial is bizarre. Like, there's a breakdown on a link, and it shows like a pictogram, like a whole little scenario breakdown. And the cops that were brought to trial, they said that as they approached the bridge, they were being shot at. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like Katrina is such a perfect example of what happens when the rule of law breaks down, when there aren't the services and the order that we're used to every day, when they cease to exist. But what's curious to me is that, like, here it is. Katrina was a decade ago, and here are these guys getting a plea deal in 2016. Like, I don't know. Like, the whole thing's very strange to me.
I haven't looked into that one a whole lot. I'm going to actually go check it out here and get some more information about it. What evidence is out there that these officers weren't justified, that they were committing murder? Is there any?
I don't think any weapons were ever recovered from the victims, and
Well, that's not surprising given the circumstances.
Right.
Even if they don't have weapons, I mean, you're talking about 300 people. Like, what am I going to do? Let 300 people kill me? In the self-defense world, we call that a disparity of force.
It wasn't like a mob, though. I remember reading some articles closer to when this happened, and it did seem like it was a very questionable situation for the police.
Yeah, but even if it's 20 people against 5 cops, if they're saying they're getting shot at, and that's why they returned fire, and obviously even the worst cop is probably a better shot than your average, non-trained person. I think they just did too good of a job at returning their fire. There's too many people shot as a result. What I'm saying is, like, this can't be made into a racist thing because there's several African American officers that were involved in this, right? The whole thing is, it's to me it seems like it was a crowd of people that did not comply. And generally, when people start shooting at me, if I don't have a gun, you know what I do? I run away. And if I have a gun, I usually shoot back when people start shooting at me. So, like, the fact that they stuck around after the cops started shooting, that's bizarre.
I think part of the incident, though, is that some of these people were shot running away, and the cops actually, one instance, people running away, the cops ran them down in the squad car and shot them as they were running away, shot them in the back. So kind of like ran them off the bridge. So I think there's some. This article isn't very good about describing the actual situation, but there was definitely some really, really sketchy things that happened.
Well, you know, the really cool thing about getting shot in the back is that you can run away from somebody and still do this, right?
Or
You still
around the
get,
other side. There's plenty of reasons why people get shot in the back in gunfights, and it's still justified. It's not we're not in the 1700s or 1800s where we think if he's shot in the back, he was murdered. You know, we have forensics and video evidence of these things.
right,
Well,
but like, and Dan's 100% right on that, right? Like, I'm 100% in agreement. There's lots of reasons why people get shot in the back, and just because there's a bullet, an entry wound in somebody's back, doesn't mean that they weren't doing a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, with this whole case, with it being a week after Katrina, the forensic team did not get sent out to that location. That whole city was in chaos. The whole environment, like everywhere, for as far as the eye could see, was in chaos. So tensions were running high. Maybe the cops used excessive force. Maybe the people didn't comply. You know, the whole situation is very bizarre to me. Is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how to feel about this because I can see it one way or the other. I'm not a cop hater, nor am I a cop lover, but I understand what it means to wear a uniform and do a job, just like Dan does, right?
You gotta be
So
fair.
the Monday morning quarterback somebody's gunfight or somebody's deadly force encounter, that's not my policy to do. So if you look at this whole situation, the whole situation reads so strangely that I'm surprised that these cops went to trial.
any other thoughts, Billy?
I don't know about this particular case. I mean, I know, you know, unfortunately, New Orleans law enforcement has a very checkered past. New Orleans City. Um, there's been a lot of corruption cases over decades and decades. I mean, New Orleans in general, politics and what, there's a lot of corruption in that city. It's a rather corrupt city. You could probably make some comparisons to Chicago. So, I mean, that's all I can add to it. I mean, I know there's been a lot of corruption cases, but I don't know about the particulars of this case. I find it odd that here we are 10 years later, and this is still going on. So I think that's
Yeah. Well,
telling.
and part
You
part
know,
of that is because of the corruption, because they had to throw out
yeah.
some of the first trials. So, yeah, messed up situation. So let's move on. Swiss Army adopts Serpa holster despite known safety issues. So we have two trainers here. I'll let Daniel go first. Your thoughts on the Serpa?
Well, I'm sponsored by Blackhawk. Just kidding. That would never happen. You know, it's I really hated the Serpa before hating the Serpa was cool. I'm talking about back in like 2006. I think is when I started, like right when they first came out. Now they got brought into the military, a few different systems. They are better than the Bianchi with the flap thing. You know, they were improvement there. But the man, I see all kind of problems with Serpas all the time. I can't imagine that the Swiss actually did some really good testing. I just can't. There's just I can show you something. I'll have a problem with the one this weekend in class. You know, there's just no doubt in my mind if one shows up with it. And it may not be like catastrophic failure, something stuck in it, it won't get the gun out. It'll at least be the old infamous Serpa double pump a few times.
What's the double pump?
The Serpa, they'll tell you it's a feature, but when the gross motor skill of snatching the gun up outruns the pad push button thing, the gun's not going to release. You have to depress before lift. So
Okay, yeah, I know what you
they
mean now.
outrun the button, and then we always see the double pump, and then it comes out. Sometimes the triple pump. It's fun.
My big thing was like dudes that wore Serpa drop legs in a Humvee. Sometimes the button would get depressed, and they would be dragging an M9 behind them as they bailed out of their
Especially the
Humvee.
M9. The back of that M9 is very open, and it'll fall out very easily. Yep.
And the other issue was that exposed button being packed full of mud, and then when you really, really need your pistol, you can't get it out. And then the last thing is obviously the people shooting themselves in the thigh because they have pressure being applied by a trigger finger about a half inch above where the trigger is. So
Hopefully
good
their
job,
training
Swiss
kicks
Army.
in and they call their parents though.
Like, we got really awesome pocket knives, but our holsters suck.
So what you guys are saying is you should go out and buy a Serpa holster this weekend?
No.
For
No.
class.
I would highly recommend a Phobos. A nice Phobos holster.
You know, I personally don't make fun of Phobos too much because if you're going to cover it with a piece of clothing and you're not open carrying, they work better than Serpas.
I would agree with that. That's why I
Started from the
recommend it.
bottom, now we're here.
Now you guys are going to make fun of my Uncle Mike's. I mean, what's going on here?
Oh boy.
Is it a floppy nylon Uncle
know,
Mike's holster?
This
Does it go in your pocket?
It's fun to talk about gear and some bad stuff, and it's I have a personal policy on the range when a student shows up. I don't tell anybody that their gear sucks. I know their gear is going to suck. I know what gun's going to have a problem. I know what the holster is going to suck. I see that. Those of you who take a lot of classes or teach, you know what's going to be broke that day. What the guy shows up with the 308 AR that costs $2,000. You know it's going to suck all day long. It's just the way it always is. We know these things.
You let them discover it on their own?
But then I'm standing right there waiting on it, and I'm like, hey, this is a common problem that we see. Happens all the time. Here's a few options for solutions. Because you try to tell somebody right at the beginning that their stuff sucks, barrier straight up, and because they're invested in that, man. It's tough, you know. So I don't even like doing it on a hangout, you know. But but how else are you gonna tell people, you know?
You can choose between either trying to help them with your advice based off experience and knowledge, or you can let them fail. The thing is, it's like you can help people as much as you possibly desire to, but until they witness what you're talking about, they won't buy into it.
So I don't even waste time. Yep.
Yep. No, that's good policy.
So the ATF has approved a new cannon design.
Woo!
I'm sure everyone's rejoicing.
My beer can's been stacking up. I've been waiting for this verdict. What did they say?
Well, it's a new design that restores it back to the status of not a firearm or destructive device, because this is one of the cases where the ATF, they had a change of mind and they're like, oh wait, you guys can't do that. So
what's the propellant? Are you just shooting a blank in this thing?
Yeah, you shoot a 5.56 blank and it propels it out. Like, the thing was that I think the old shroud came off, so essentially by installing this upper receiver on your gun or putting the conversion kit, whatever it was, I've never owned one. I mean, X Products makes some pretty good stuff, but they didn't think that it was going to get labeled an SBR, because essentially that's what it is, because it was still capable of firing a live 5.56 round. And that was where the ATF got upset about it. Like, oh, people are going to buy the cannon just to be able to shoot. I'm like, listen, anybody that's going to make an illegal SBR is not going to go through that much trouble. They're just going to buy a shorty barrel and put it on a standard AR lower and not do their 4M4.
So, but what if you were going to fire a regular 5.56 in that? I mean, it looks like that cannon part goes. I mean, I wouldn't even want to find out what would happen.
No, like, you can. I mean, like, John Patton's got that 4-inch barrel AR. You can still shoot 5.56 through. I mean, as long as it supports a loaded cartridge, it's still capable of firing. It might not be accurate. It might not be ideal.
Yeah, doesn't the Double Tap company make a Derringer that shoots 5.56?
I believe so, but that's a pistol. It's you have to do the 44-73 as a handgun. The whole point of this was the ATF didn't like it because they said it made your gun into an illegal SBR, and if you wanted to buy the cannon, you had to register your your host lower as an SBR. And people are like, that's ridiculous. We're not doing that. I mean, at the end of the day, the can is a novelty. It's something for fun, right? It's like the golf ball launchers that screw on, like anything else.
The number one market for this is Dan Blitzerian. I mean, it's him and a couple other guys buying these.
I mean, like, years ago, right? So, like, back in the old days, Peter Palma bought this golf ball launcher that looked kind of like a suppressor, and it screwed on, standard 1/2-inch by 28 AR threads. So you could just screw on your AR-15, and this thing would shoot a golf ball like 500 yards, like no problem. It was crazy, right? So I said to Pete, I'm like, dude, you should just leave that on your gun with a blank and a golf ball loaded. And if anybody ever breaks in, you shoot the dude in the chest with that golf ball, and then rack your action real quick. And then if the guy still doesn't want to comply, or if he's not down, then you just put some 5.56 hardball into him. But Pete's like, I'm pretty sure this golf ball is going to kill the guy, and I think it would too. Like a golf ball traveling at like 1,000 feet per second, I'm pretty sure will kill you. But anyway, it was a novelty that screwed on the end of the gun, and we had a lot of fun with that thing. I mean, it was cool. I think the can is kind of a neat idea. It falls in the same category as like Tannerite or any other novelty gun product. It's like it's hokey enough to capture your attention, but valid enough to still kind of be fun in certain applications. Regardless, the ATF ruled that it turned your gun into SBR, which obviously was going to limit how many of these things that X product sold, so they redesigned it. So what I assume, they probably have some sort of limiter where like a full metal jacket round won't chamber in the barrel, or they did something to it where it won't shoot live ammo. That's what I think it is.
Very cool. So, High Point warranty, trial by fire. So apparently this lady had a High Point that burned up in a car fire, and they have what, a lifetime warranty? Is that right? I believe so. And she contacted the company, and they sent her a new High Point for free. So if you're planning on having a fire with your High Point, you're covered.
Huzzah! Right after the cannon. It's just inspiring.
I so wish John Patton was here right now.
Yeah.
To somehow defend this.
No one's going to defend the High Point?
No.
Hey,
Daniel,
everybody!
Daniel, I'm sure they always work great in your
Listen.
classes.
They sell a 9mm handgun that's hydro dipped in $100 bills. How the ATF is not like at that factory every week, like, is beyond me. It's like they make guns purely for the reason to commit crimes.
It's like a 1986 Oldsmobile. It makes the driver lose their driver's license and get a DUI. It's their fault.
Exactly. That's hilarious. No, it's true. It's like a huge target indicator of somebody up to bad news. Like, they're just doing bad stuff. If I see someone with a High Point, I assume you're doing something bad. Like,
I can tell you, I've never even shot a High Point. Never even shot one.
You're not missing out.
I don't know how it got burned. Has anyone ever held a High Point? It's literally like a cinder block on top of a steel beam with a racquetball. Like, that's.
In all fairness, I've never had a High Point fail when shooting it, right? I don't own one, right? But I've shot John Patton's, and I've shot a couple others, and every last one I've shot very reliably. I will, however, say maybe not necessarily the most accurately in comparison to other guns, slightly more expensive and made to better standards. But yeah, like, ergonomics are like the last thing they think about when they design a High Point. But they are somewhat, and that's the bad thing. See, that's the whole point. Is like they're actually somewhat reliable firearms that are sold as economy class pistols, right? Like, here's the thing: like, somebody would come in, and back in the day when I used to work at a gun shop, which will never happen again. I'll be a homeless person living under a bridge before I ever work in a gun shop again. But
that's a Palma-ism if I ever heard it.
People will come in and they'll be like, "Hey, I want to buy a High Point, whatever," and I'm like, "Listen, dude. I don't know like what your situation is and really what you want, but I encourage you, if you just save a little bit more money, you can buy an infinitely better gun. Like, just come back next paycheck." Like, the only High Points I ever sold people were like used High Points, and it's a terrible gun. It's a really, really bad gun because of what it implies to its owner.
Well, there's a lot better options out there. I had a guy show up to a carbine class. He actually emailed me before. He said, "Hey, can I bring my High Point carbine?" It's in 9mm. And I'm like, told a couple of friends, like, "Hey, there's a dude actually going to come to this class that you're teaching somewhere else." I was teaching in Cove with another instructor teaching in another location on the same range. And He's like, "Oh, don't do it, man. Tell him he needs another gun." I'm like, why would I do that? It's who am I to tell you what gun to bring? If that's what you chose or what you can afford or whatever else. I had a I had a LMT go down in class, and I had a high point carbine that was dinging all day long, working like a champ. So I'm like, yeah, I don't care what you bring. It was pretty impressive, man. Uh, did pretty good in the old carbine class. Not gonna go out and buy a high point carbine, but eh.
If
I,
they
I,
started, if they
I've
started selling them with,
I've actually heard nothing really bad about the carbines. I've heard only good things.
You haven't heard that they're ugly and
Well, I
don't look good?
mean, you know,
You have to look cool.
well, I'm surprised this didn't make FRN news, Jake, but the guy that started High Point recently just died.
it
Whitey,
was
how long ago was that? Like a week or two ago?
it was a couple of weeks ago.
It was a couple weeks ago, but a high point is only as ugly, until you put a grip stop on it. Then it's gorgeous.
I'm about the timestamp, the ever
All
living
right,
timestamp have you.
we're moving on. We're moving on. Iraqi Christians rise up and form 100,000 man Christian army to fight against ISIS.
I don't care if they're Christian, if they're spaghetti monster, if somebody could just fucking huge timestamp.
Oh, huge time.
timestamp.
I put the timestamp curse on that.
Yeah, you did. You
All right,
jerk.
so
Somebody standing up is a positive note. That's all I had to say.
my
with the
thing,
F-bomb.
my thing with this is that I hate to say it, but I'm actually really surprised that there's 100,000 Christians left in Iraq since we abandoned those poor people there. So for them to rise up and maybe maybe join the ranks of the Pesh, of the Kurds to fight ISIS, then good. Like I don't know. So Dan, did you serve in Iraq?
Yeah, I did.
All right, my stance on the war has changed a little bit in the last year or two. I feel like it's like you raise a child into like they're like 16 or 17 years old and they're almost to the point of becoming their own person and going off and being a productive member of society. But then like one day when they're 16, like you just abandon them, right? And anything that happens after that, I mean, it's not on you. I tried my best. That's how I kind of feel with the war in Iraq. I felt like we were almost where we needed to be, and that on that 11th hour, we abandoned those people, and ISIS, we like laid the ground for them. They came in and they took over and they murdered a metric ton of civilians. And the people that were the true believers and the people that wanted that change, they wanted to live in peace in Iraq, they're the ones that paid the penalty.
As much as I love my country, the U.S. has a great track record of being incredibly arrogant and thinking they know what the heck they're doing and going in and doing things. Uh, I was in OIF-1, went across the border on March 22nd, was in Nasiriyah, fought there, spearheaded that attack on March 23rd. I drove past people that were so happy that we were there. I went to meetings after we cooled everything down and taken Baghdad, where I was running personal security for battalion commander, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room when we told them that we're not going to tell you what to do. You're free. Start your public transportation. Start your fire department. Here's some money. And it took them about 3 different meetings for them to realize that a little hint of what freedom was. So I saw that from the very beginning, and I get chilled every time I think about it. It was the most amazing time of my life seeing that. So being there, I think it was great. But we screwed up about 1,000 things thinking that we understand their culture and understand what they should do, just like in Vietnam. Hey, we're going to build these places for you. Never mind that you've been working these same rice paddies and all your ancestors are buried in them and these pagodas, and you don't even know that there's a city on the other side of that hill over there. We'll just have you guys all move. We have no idea what we're doing all throughout history, and we just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and the countries that we're in end up paying for it. And I totally agree. We pretty much abandoned those people for political reasons.
Purely political reasons. But like since we left that country, very unceremoniously left Iraq a couple years ago, those people that we spent the better part of a decade trying to get them back on their feet, trying to help them, trying to at the very least keep them safe, those people were the ones that suffered the wrath of ISIS after we left. So what I'm saying is it's good to see 100,000 anybody, 100,000 Iraqis, 100,000 Iraqi Christians, whatever, band together to fight the pure absolute evil that is ISIS, that has taken a stranglehold on their nation.
Yeah, we should be supporting the pastor a little bit more, but it's a lot more. It sounds a bit like some propaganda, to me. Like, hey, we're doing this, support us. They're crying for help, man. They're crying for help, and we're finally sending a few SOF guys over there and doing some stuff. But it we should have been there a year ago. Longer. We should have never left. But after this all started happening, we should have got in there and got busy, man. There's no reason for it. We created a lot of this monster.
Well, the good thing about this is, the village, the people that they talked to for this article, is a Christian village near Mosul. So luckily, there is a bunch of SF guys already there, raining hate and discontent down on ISIS. So, I mean, I this is kind of an emotional thing for me in the sense that, I spend a fair amount of time in that country, and there's good guys and there's bad guys. You go down to a village along the Euphrates River, and you see these people fishing the river and tending their fields like they've been doing for the last 4,000 years, and they just want to live in peace. And now there's a whole new group of people to come in and rape their daughters and raise their village to the ground. And all the promises I personally gave those people, that many American servicemen gave those people, it turned into lies.
I agree. And don't you just want to punch the dude in the face when he's like, we should just nuke the whole place? That's never
Yeah.
seen the pretty little 7-year-old girls and their green eyes, and seen the people. It's these are people. That's the problem with the U.S., man. We don't realize that these are human beings. They're no less of human beings than we are. They're different, but
All I ever wanted to do is I wanted to save who needed to be saved, and I wanted to kill who needed to be killed.
that's all
And
I still want to do.
the politics of that war made it very, very hard. And your correlation to Vietnam, like I remember early in the war when guys were like, oh man, this is turning to Vietnam. Like, oh no, it's nothing like Vietnam. And by the end, that's exactly what it turned into.
We are to the I'm offended section. I'm not necessarily offended. Somebody here is offended, though. Real quick, though, AR-15 Podcast is giving away a rifle. That's right, a carbine. Head on over to the AR-15 Podcast giveaway at firearmsradio.tv. Click AR-15 Podcast and click Enter to win the 9mm carbine being given away by New Frontier Armory of North Las Vegas. So I'm offended. Dear gun enthusiasts, you suck. Have you guys seen this?
It's the fat shaming chick.
What is she?
Yeah, she went viral like 6 months ago or so, right? Didn't she, Whitey?
Yeah, she did something funny, and then like the rest
Nicole
was just-
Arbor, super hot chick, just
Super annoying chick.
super annoying. Like, it's like I have a pretty face and a nice rack, so listen to me talk on YouTube. That's what this boils down to.
Well, and she's Canadian.
And she's Canadian.
Okay, so here's the one thing. Here's the one problem I have.
Did she apologize?
Everybody's entitled to their own damn opinion, right? But when you're not an American citizen and you want to tell me about our Constitution and what rights I should and shouldn't have, it, shut your mouth. I don't really care. Yet you run your mouth all you want up there, but what you have to say has no bearing on me. Okay? My rights are my rights, and they don't come from your pretty little blog in Canada. That's just the way it is. So I don't really care what she says. She's been. I think it's the greatest troll video. That's all she's trying to do. She's generated some traffic.
It's clickbait. That's what it is. It's clickbait.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what it is.
Absolutely. So I have no. She can't hold her own. Seriously, let's have I'll debate her.
Like,
I love when Billy comes out swinging so much.
dude, Billy's right 100% on this. Like somebody, I remember on Facebook a couple months ago, somebody posted something, and she was like really insightful, but still showing cleavage, which is like the perfect dynamic for a shitload of timestamp views, right? Like people were just like, people were like, "Oh yeah, this girl, she really knows what she's like." All I'm like, no, no, like no, she's not right. Like just because she's acting sincere and all this other stuff, it was clickbait then and it's clickbait now. This girl is not relevant in any kind of way. I'm not gonna lie, she's an attractive woman. I'm not gonna lie, like yeah, like all right,
Relevant.
cool, like she's a good-looking girl, and unfortunately for most people that are attractive women on YouTube that have nothing entertaining or relevant to say, they get a lot of followers. You know, just the same Instagram. It's the same thing. It's like if you're a public personality that wants to run your mouth and wear low-cut shirts, you're going to gain a bunch of followers in a short amount of time, and you start coming up with new ways to grow your followers. And that's what she did. That's
She wasted
exactly
no time in
clickbait.
getting into
Clickbait. It's
how
100% clickbait, and you look at it, and if like you agree with her, then you're going to give her a follow or give her a like. That's what it is. It's marketing 101.
2.5 minutes into it, she is looking for more shots in the face. Her
Do you
words.
do marketing for Recoil?
Me?
Kidding.
If anything, people stop buying the magazine because of me. Although I will say that the concealment issue of Recoil is hitting newsstands this week, and I have a really awesome article in it. Shameless plug complete.
Nothing wrong with that.
College student in trouble for wearing empty holster and gun-free zone protest.
Oh God, don't
And then
even.
it looks like I have a really bad link to the next article, but it looks like the officer has been suspended for citing the student for wearing an empty
For
holster.
5 days.
Did that just came through? Because I'm going to say,
Yeah.
like, in the video, when you watch the video, the officer keeps talking about, the weapons policy, and the kid's like, yes. I'm like, a holster's not a weapon. I mean,
That's why
what
it's
next?
empty.
I mean, what next, right?
But with
Really?
the Serpa.
Wasn't Serpa.
You know,
It
the
is.
really alarming thing in this was in South Alabama, right? Like, it's Alabama. If Alabama has descended to the level where we want to attack a student for wearing a holster, then what's to say about the rest of the nation?
Right.
I mean, if you want to walk around all day with 100 holsters velcroed all over your body in a gun-free zone, make your statement. Go for it. What do I care? And you want to claim that you're creating some panic? Seriously? Are your feelings hurt that much that you had to call the cops on an empty holster?
Billy, you
I
just
mean-
raised your voice, so my feelings are hurt.
I'm titillated.
I'm so over the feelings thing, right? Like I feel hurt. Really, that holster hurt you?
See,
Wow.
I love it. It's the opposite for me. Like, I want it to get worse. I want it to get so much worse, so it just all collapses on itself and it goes away completely. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. I'm excited for it.
Lawmaker tweets, "Bye, Felicia," to concerned professors who will leave campus if open or concealed carry passes.
Best tweet ever. It literally, like, a lawmaker's hashtag by Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
What state is he in?
So Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like, there should have been a mic drop emoji. Like, honestly. Lib faculty are starting to leave if people have their constitutional rights granted on campus, ? Hashtag by Felicia. End tweet. Send. Done.
Andy Holt. So, what kind of lawmaker is Andy Holt? He's a senator.
He's the kind that says, bye, Felicia. He gets my vote. I don't even live there.
Representative Andy Holt, Republican from Dresden. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty badass. That's pretty cool.
So it has to do with Bill SB 2376 and House Bill 1736 is a limited campus carry measure that would grant full-time employees of the state's public colleges and universities the ability to carry a concealed handgun as long as they have a permit. So it's not even like it's allowing everyone to conceal carry, just employees.
Since we got Dan on the show, I wanna throw this out. So Dan, I want your perspective on this, all right? So we have all these young soldiers, sailors, Marine, airmen coming home, right? A lot of them are well, pretty much a lot of them have firearms experience. Some of them are combat vets. I have this idea where on top of the GI Bill, you get a full ride scholarship to the school that you get accepted into, and you have to CCW, and you have to qualify with the local campus police, and you have a bunch of sleeper cell former service guys out there going to school for free, still collecting their GI Bill, so they're living the dream. So there's a big incentive not to screw this up. And if anything ever happens on a school, instead of it taking minutes for a campus officer to figure out where this active shooter is, you have a bunch of guys scattered across the school. I want that scholarship program to exist. I want it to become a thing because it's going to put more guns in the right hands in the college campuses from people that potentially are former badasses.
I think it's a great idea as long as we don't allow any DVs in there. We can do it.
All right, well, we're in agreement then.
Veteran says he was fired over service dog. So this vet, he worked for a company in Wisconsin, LNS Electric. Suffers from PTSD. Said the company asked him, or has asked the VA to fill out paperwork allowing him to bring his dog Sig to work, but the VA refused, citing that what Ketter described as borderline HIPAA violations.
Well, if the dog identified as a disabled Asian woman,
Jeez.
they would not have been able to refuse his service dog.
So that quote that you just read, Jake, is actually really disconcerting because they don't give the actual citations from what the VA said, but it was bad enough that he put it in quotes as borderline HIPAA violations. He wouldn't even say what they said to him other than borderline HIPAA violations. So, I don't go to the VA. I have no right to, but guys who have, what does that mean to you?
The whole thing's a big crock.
It sounds like maybe there was some kind of breach of patient-doctor confidentiality, something like that. This is going to piss people off. This is the offend people part of the show, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
feel free.
I consider myself a wannabe leader in the veteran community, and people who follow me and listen to me, and I don't know why they do, but they do. And I piss people off on probably a daily basis. In the firearms industry and in other parts of my life, there's not a whole lot of things that I'm really good at, but I do believe that I'm pretty good at rocking boats. And I think boats need to get rocked a lot. And not everybody out there is... there's a lot of entitlement that goes on with veterans these days. That they're like, hey, I'm a veteran, so I should get this and that and everything else. Blah, blah. The good taxpayers chose to help us out when we get out of the military, and I greatly appreciate it. But they don't owe me anything. They chose to do that for me. There are some people who just want to be a news story, and I know a couple of people like this who are always looking for a way. Oh, I couldn't do and they're just trying to be really sensitive to anything that they can do, and it's pretty scary. And what happened here, I have no idea. This guy may be 100% in the right, but just kind of like that incident on the bridge. What do I need to do? Get some more information about that and get some more information about what happened. But man, there's
not much to go on here.
It just seems like a cry for attention. I got fired, guys, because of my dog, but I can't tell you any more details than that. Like, if you've got some good stuff, let's hear it, and we'll get behind you, buddy. We'll help you out. I'll help you find a new job. Hell, dude, I'll send you a little bit of money to make sure you can feed yourself. But it's not enough for me.
It's 50-50 on this. It's like, I'm sorry, Billy, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think I don't know this guy's situation either, so I can't really comment on it. I think it brings up an interesting situation from the employer point of view that, having service dogs for PTSD and other emotional issues is relatively new to us, and we're starting to see it more often, right? But an employer, if that person was in a wheelchair and had a service dog, right? Maybe they had a spinal cord injury. That employer would never ask for some type of paperwork for a doctor. You have to prove to me that you're paralyzed, you're a quad or a para, whatever. Now that we're getting to this kind of, PTSD and more mental health issues, something that might not be so visible on the surface, now we're asking for stuff. It's a really interesting thing from an employer point of view, and it does open employers up to potential lawsuits. And
So,
so it's
but also from the employee perspective, that's a good point, man. As somebody who hires people and owns a business and is a partner in another one, there are a lot of people out there. Hey, you got a service dog? It's a shepherd. It must be a service dog, right?
Obviously.
There's a lot of folks that are like, hey, I'm gonna get a dog and tell everybody it's a service dog, and I'm
right.
gonna put a harness on it, and I'm gonna put "Don't pet me" patches all over it, and like every single patch I can get on this thing to make sure everybody knows that I'm a veteran, in case they didn't get it from my hat and my T-shirt. And if that happens, I see it all the time, man, all the time. And then you got these guys. I got quite a few friends. I think service dogs save lives, man. I think they save lives every single day. I've seen them in action. They're amazing. And when people are getting these things for attention, which I ain't afraid to say some of my veteran brothers are doing it, it hurts the guys that need these service dogs with them at their jobs, and it's irresponsible.
100%.
Totally agree.
100%. So everything Dan just said, I agree with 100%, right? So Atlas here, who may or may not be a service dog, I'm not really sure how he identifies or what papers he has, right? He may or may not keep me calm, or maybe I'm a diabetic. I identify as a diabetic now. So when my blood sugar level starts getting low, I need him to potentially tell me if that. Look, what I'm saying is this: is that if you're that upset by a dog, I can't help you. I can't help you. If you don't like to see dogs and people that feel like they need service dogs, then you're a lost cause. There's guys that legitimately 100% need service dogs. They need that dog to stay on an even keel. And there's other guys who, I got mortared and the mortars hit 1,000 yards away from me and I have nightmares, and they get a service dog, right? And what those guys do is they discredit everybody that legitimately needs them. So based off this article and the information put out there, I cannot definitively say that this kid is 100% righteous, or that he's one of those kids that, like, come on, you're ruining it for the rest of the guys out there, right? So for me, I think service dogs are a great thing. I think they help a lot of people, and I think for everybody that has a service dog that legitimately needs one, there's probably two people out there that don't. And like, I am a pretty private person. I don't like broadcast. I don't wear the hats with the Velcro and the USMC shirt all the time. But I live vicariously through Atlas, who's just like the coolest dog in the world, right? And I want people to like me for who I am today and not who I used to be as a Marine.
Man, dude, we got to talk after this show. That's why.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna have words, son.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna have a talk.
Okay.
Right.
So I want people like to be cool with the dog just the same, right? So here's the thing: it's like in this world, in 2016, if a dude can go into a little girl's bathroom, right? Because that was apparently a relevant conversation I had last week. If people want to identify as trans species, then who cares if I bring my dog to work? I don't want to work in a job that I can't have my dog.
I could be a service dog.
You identify as a service dog. It's gonna make some things in your life more difficult, I think, but I hope that this kid is legitimately in the right, and if he is in the right, and if he's listening to our podcast, our humble podcast, then reach out to us. And if you're not one of those guys, then I hope you feel bad about what you're doing. But I sincerely hope that it's the former instead of the latter.
All right.
And when you see,
go ahead. Sorry.
Closing statement. When you see a guy who's obviously a vet and he has a service dog, I want to say so many things right now. Look, if the kid's a vet, you don't need to go thank him. You don't need to go pet his dog. You don't need to do anything that you feel like you need to do. Just leave it be. All right. Now, I had something profound, but it was going to go into another rant, so
Well,
I'm done.
going to give you your own show, Nate, and you can rant all you want. We're to the overflow section. Extra stories, too many to cover. If you'd like to cover some of these with us after the show, you can support us for $10 or more via Patreon, patreon.com/week. And also, contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, by clicking the Amazon banners on the website, or you can bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. We are to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call their own. Guys, if you haven't picked one yet, browse through here, pick one for yourself to share with all of us. JWB Military and Brass giveaway. You can enter at firearmsradio.tv. Just click This Week in Guns. JWB Military and Brass is giving away 50 packs of ready-to-load brass. It's all clean, tumbled, trimmed, ready to load. Have a few different choices to pick from if you win. Really good quality brass. Check it out. JWB Military and Brass giveaway. All right, who's ready to go?
We got to do what?
I'm ready.
You pick a story. Billy will take the lead.
Go, Billy.
Okay, so I'm going with the first one there, and I got a few beefs with this. This is first of all the headline of this article on some website, Sploid. I've never even. It's Gizmodo. Gizmodo. Okay. Watch 6 bulldozers battle each other on the streets of China in the craziest fight ever. Okay, you guys got to see this video because this is rather insane. But here's the real problem I have. If you're going to write an article about these bulldozers on the streets of China, do a little research on your heavy equipment. They're not bulldozers. Those are front-end loaders. Okay? So that's like my one beef. There's a huge difference between a bulldozer and a front-end loader. So these are front-end loaders, and it is pretty insane. And a bunch of loaders here push another loader over. The guy jumps out. He jumps in another loader, and they continue to attack. I guess from the Associated Press, what this comes down to is this is 2 construction companies, rival construction companies in China that are going at it here, and they have a beef. And I'll give you a little story from my buddy who moved to China a long time ago, almost 18 years ago, to work for a major U.S. corporation, and they were expanding there. And the corporation eventually pulled out because they couldn't stomach the organized crime network and how so many people had to be paid off on a local level. So I don't doubt that this is actually 2 rival construction companies, because this is kind of what you see happening right now in China. So much organized crime, who's getting these jobs, who's not. And I wouldn't doubt that these guys, the owners of these companies, sent these guys out to play a little demolition derby on the streets. It's pretty sweet, though, I got to admit. I want the full version. I only get to see like a minute 20.
Alpaca out of nowhere. I'm watching this video, and it's like this one guy takes on this other guy, is kicking his butt. So our bulldozer comes out of left field, and that was 2-on-1. They flip one, then 2 more come out of the left from the other guy. Now they're flipping bulldozers. I know it's a front end loader. I just like messing with Billy. Yeah, it's pretty.
It's kind of awesome. It's kind of awesome.
Oh, they have multiple angles too.
That's what I was saying. I want the full version. Like, does this thing go on? Because I'm only getting like a couple minutes here. I want the 15-minute uncut version.
It'll be in an arena near you somewhere. Somebody in America is gonna see this and be like, "We could do this and charge for it."
Yeah, no, there is a place where you can rent big construction equipment and like crush cars with it and stuff. They were on Shark Tank.
Oh man.
Yeah, I saw that one.
All right, Nate, what do you got?
So there's this couple in Michigan, right? They checked out a Dr. Seuss book, and now they face jail time. They face a $500 fine and up to 93 days in jail for not returning said Dr. Seuss book to the public library that they borrowed the book from. So I have a book on my bookshelf called the AK-47 story that I checked out of the Lancaster County Library in 1998 that has not been returned, and nobody's ever come to put me in prison. So I'm pretty entertained by this verdict that apparently went to court, that a judge says that they might go to prison for 2 months over a book that was not returned. Yeah, America. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing.
Well, it wasn't even that long ago. It was from like 2014. It's not like it's something from 1970 either. I mean, it's.
I've had a book from the 1990s on my shelf that nobody ever came looking for. Like, to me, it's a book, okay? And the reason why I kept that book is it's a first edition and it's out of print, and I tried to buy a copy of that book and I cannot find it. So
Well,
it never went back to the
that
library.
librarian is probably watching this show, and you're going to have a knock on your door.
And for the record, I've never checked a book out of that library ever since because I'm a wanted man. I'm an outside cat.
All right.
I live by my own rules, and apparently library books are enough for you to go to jail these days.
Whitey, what do you got?
Rick Ross. Rick Ross, also known as William Leonard Roberts II. So apparently, hey, don't you hate when you go to the president's like speeches and you're sitting there with all these other big dignitaries and your anklet starts going off because you're on house arrest?
That's embarrassing.
That's a little embarrassing, let alone the fact that Rick Ross was wearing an anklet listening to the president speak at the White House. That's exactly what happened.
Did he fail to return his library books? Why was he wearing an anklet?
Because, no worries, I have an answer for that. He was arrested in June for kidnapping, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery.
Oh, so that's like
After
30
he
days in
pistol-whipped his
jail.
groundskeeper and held him against his will.
So that's like 30 days in jail, not like a full 93.
No, he just has to wear the electronic monitoring accessory. So when he goes to the White House for the My Brother's Keeper initiative, it can beep randomly during Barry's speech.
So, Whitey, if I got this straight, I can go to jail for 93 days for not returning a library book, but if you pistol whip somebody, you can be on house arrest.
Yes.
And hang out with the president.
And hang out with the president.
Hang out with the president, yes.
Okay.
Don't forget to make a new clock.
All
Get a
right,
free
Daniel.
ticket.
Speaking of clocks and bombs, video of blasting cap blowing up in ballistics gel in slow motion. It's pretty cool. I've seen blasting caps blow up like all by themselves. Like, hey, look, don't grab it with your hand, crimp it like this because it'll blow your hand apart. I'm pretty glad I didn't see this like 20 years ago because I wouldn't have been crimping blasting caps because it's pretty freaking ridiculous. I could just imagine it turning, your hand and destroying it. So pretty cool. Check that one out.
All right.
There's a video, but I can't watch it because it was really loud in the ad, and since I didn't know about this segment, I didn't prep and put it in my contract next time.
All right, will do. Oh, my agent. I'll talk to your agent. We'll get it straightened out. Has anyone seen the new Magnificent 7 remake trailer? Anyone a fan of Westerns?
I've seen it about
Yes.
5 times without the audio on. That's about it.
They're remaking the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, man. It's got Chris Pratt. It's got Denzel Washington.
It looks pretty legit.
It does. I've got high hopes for it. I was on the Guns of Hollywood podcast a while back, and I was lamenting the fact that there has not been very many good Westerns in the last 20 years, and this looks like it has real potential.
Huh.
So check it out if you haven't seen it. In other news, McDonald's is to roll out all-you-can-eat fries.
Because they can't get rid of them because they're still crappy fries.
Yeah, they're not that good.
It's called burning off your surplus. That's what that's called. Just good marketing. Good marketing.
I think if there's a McDonald's next to a bar, that's going to do actually very well.
Posting a
Because,
loss on that day.
yeah,
I
Or
like McDonald's fries, and I think Colorado McDonald's are going to be.
that's where I was going. Yeah,
there you go.
Colorado. I mean, yeah, get some munchies, and you're going to be at McDonald's all night.
So now that I've had like a solid minute to think about this, if Magnificent Seven is as terrible as a remake of Point Break, then I'm gonna be upset because those were two awesome movies. And here's the other thing about this, right? Like Hollywood keeps remaking these classic films that everybody loves, and regardless if they are just terrible renditions of the former film, they still do well because enough of us get suckered into going that there's a good opening weekend, and the critics, acclaim it, which, is, I hope
That's
it's
why
good.
they're doing it, because half the marketing's already been done for them, so they don't have
Yeah,
to spend as much money. Yeah.
that's
They'll also
exactly what.
make money leading up to it for watching all the old movies again. Because everybody
Yep.
will buy them on iTunes.
They'll get the old actors to come out and talk about how great the new movie is. It seems like they're doing this more and more, though. Like in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of remakes of like some really awesome films, and they've mostly failed miserably.
Because
I'm gonna
Hollywood's
start.
out of ideas.
I'm gonna start teaching the Weaver position and see if I can get more money off of it. Bringing old
Luckily,
school
Marvel
back.
is there to save the day.
All right. Well, if you like what you hear, you can support us through our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/week. I just updated the rewards. Bunch of new rewards. You can support the show for as little as $1 an episode. There's $5 levels that will get you a free T-shirt or free patch. $8 level that will get you a supply drop box every 3 months or so that may include things like range bags, tactical flashlights, T-shirts, patches, hats, cleaning kits, gun cases, gift cards, and more. $10 level, of course, gets you backstage access to hang out with us after the show. There's a T-shirt of the month club for 12, and so on and so on. $15 level gets you an ammo dump box, large box full of goodies. So check it out, patreon.com/week. And Patriot Patch Co. helps make this episode possible. Check out the new pre-orders that are live on the website. Also, if you're a dealer, if you have a gun store or something like that, we just launched a dealer exclusive line. We do not wholesale our main catalog, but we just released a exclusive dealer line. Go to patriotpatch.co. So, see what these guys have been up to. Nate, what have you
Jake,
been up to?
can those dealers order this super awesome T-shirt? Is that an option that's open to them?
We could maybe talk.
Because that's pretty much the coolest shirt ever. Because it has a grip stop.
I was going to say, is it just because of the grip stop?
That's how I know I made it. When something I invented makes it onto a T-shirt. That's how you know you arrived.
Absolutely. So what have you been up to? You got a new article coming out?
Yeah, there's the new issue of the concealment issue of Recoil magazine is hitting newsstands as we speak. Some parts of the country already have it. If your local Barnes & Noble or Walmart or anybody that sells Recoil, if they don't have it this week, they'll probably have it early next week. But yeah, I have an article about how to stipple your Glock, or basically any polymer frame handgun, and the do's and do nots. So that's going to be in Recoil this issue. And aside from that, I'm super stoked about next week going to the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot, where I'm going to see Mr. Whitey and you, right, Jake? You're
Yeah,
going?
I'll be there.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what I got on the docket for now.
Very cool. Where can people connect with you online?
Well, if any of the listeners are so inclined, you can follow me on Instagram with the name Gripstop, and you can also find my company, Connect Development Group, on Facebook and Instagram as well, and also online. So that's the best place to track me down.
Very cool. Whitey, Four Guys Guns, what's up and where can people connect with you?
What's up is I'm also pretty amped to go to the Stone Mountain Machine Gun Shoot, where you can shoot inverted against a competitor. You can ride a zip line, you can shoot suppressed weapons, and you can come hang out with us. It's going to be a pretty interesting time.
And you can buy that T-shirt that Nate just held up.
And you can buy that T-shirt that
I will
Nate
be
just held up.
wearing that shirt, shooting machine gun, inverted on a zip line, as Whitey's next to me,
Topless.
trying to beat me at doing that.
Topless, showing people what a fat body operator looks like.
It's going to happen. It's going to be a thing. I challenge you to a zip line duel, Whitey.
Oh boy, they can't hold me. I'm too big.
No, you're going.
I'm denser than I look.
Listen, I watched the episode from a few weeks ago, and you basically said that we're going to do this, so we kind of have
but
to
I'm
do
like
it.
a Civil War iron ship. It's way thicker than it actually looks up front. There's a lot below the waterline.
There's rappel lines rated at 2 tons. I think you're going to be okay.
Oh, really? 2 tons?
Oh, the gauntlet has been thrown.
One thing can be certain: I will be ahead of you. The momentum will be on my side.
That might present a tactical advantage to you. I might lose horribly.
Only if I can acquire faster. I don't know if I can. I seen you shoot. But yeah, you can follow Four Guys Guns on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that fun jazz at Four Guys Guns, all one word. You can follow me on Snapchat, FGG Whitey, Whiskey Hotel Tango Echo Yankee.
Send the nudes. Oh yeah.
Send the dick pic. Unit pics.
You guys stop it. Okay, Daniel, what have you been up to, and where can people connect with you online?
I've always got a lot of stuff going on. Me and Ryan Hoover from Fit to Fight, one of the co-founders of that, just launched an active killer defense program, and been going. That one's been doing really good. Our next one's on April 30th here in Wichita, and then we're doing another instructor development out in May. Busy doing about 50 other things that I forget to do every day, which I'm pretty much forgetting now. You can find me and keep up at Facebook /Daniel Shaw 0369 or Instagram Daniel Shaw 0369. Same thing on Twitter, and the same thing at Gmail if you want to hit me up.
Very cool. Billy, what's up with Boxer Tactical, and where can people connect?
We got testing some new products right now. We're going to have 2 new belts out in the next 2 months and 2 additional accessories as well, so 4 new products coming out soon. Things are going really well, and we're excited about that. Unfortunately, I will not be able to see you guys at the Machine Gun Shoot. It's not working with my schedule. I'm super bummed out about that, but I encourage everyone to go. And to find me personally, you can follow me at Amidst the Noise on Instagram mostly. Facebook, I haven't been there much lately. Instagram's where to find me there personally. And companies at Boxer Tac and Boxer Tactical on Twitter and Facebook.
Very cool. And you can connect with me on all the Firearms Radio Network social media, and also through Patriot Patch. So we will be at the Machine Gun Shoot as well, at both the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company. So hope to see you there. Several of the hosts will be there. And yeah, just again, a reminder for the NRA show meetup in Louisville. Hope to see you there as well, Saturday night, 7 p.m.
Where's that at 7 p.m.?
It's at Cardinal Hall of Fame Cafe. It's just northwest of the fairgrounds where NRA is being held.
I highly encourage everybody showing up to see how freakishly tall Jake is. Deceivingly tall.
I'm not tall. You're just short.
Both are true. Both are true.
That about wraps us up. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of the show notes or on this YouTube video. Leave us a iTunes review and contribute to the show using the Amazon affiliate link. And as always, listen to all the other shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. Well, thank you, Nate.
Thanks for having me back, Jake. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Whitey.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Billy.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Take care.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next week.